Hi, everybody. So good to be here with you again this month. Let's jump in. The conversation that I would like to have with you this month is about why we sabotage ourselves. This subject is really nuanced, and we tend to, from a societal standpoint, approach it harshly, when what's really required is a softer contemplation of the service that's involved for why it's happening. So we tend to get angry about ourselves about it. Why am I doing that? Why am I so stupid? Why am I so foolish? There I go again. Why did I blow that? I should have just. So we come at it from a really masculine, harsh perspective. And yet, if we understand the subconscious mind, there's always service in the sabotage. But we have to find it because it's subtle. It's unconscious. So what am I really talking about? I'm talking about what looks like on the outside. I don't finish the certification or the course I signed up for, or I sign up for one of those online courses, but I never actually go do the course. I switch jobs, but I don't really go for the one that I really want because I might not get it. So I go for the one with less pay, less responsibility. I settle a little bit. I sabotage myself from really going after the bigger one that I wanted. Or maybe in this current relationship, I don't communicate my needs. I don't talk about it. I say, it's fine. It's fine. Or maybe I stay because it's more uncomfortable to leave. Or I stay because it's comfortable and I really want something different. I don't invest in myself maybe, or take self-improvement courses or hire a mentor. Yet I'm unhappy. And I know I'm unhappy, but I'm not doing anything about it. These are all ways, just a few examples, of how we sabotage ourselves. And then we're so hard on ourselves when we do that, aren't we? So what's the meaning behind the sabotage? Because you're not malfunctioning. There's nothing wrong with you. That's the first place we go to, is what's wrong with me? Why does it work out for other people and not for me? What am I doing wrong? We make it so personal. Something's wrong with me. But you're not malfunctioning, God didn't make a mistake with you. The other prototypes of humans are fine, but not you, right? It's not that. The reason that you sabotage yourself is because in the going for what you really want, you're afraid of pain. That's the truth. What if it doesn't work out? What if you blow up your life? What if your relationship ends? What if you get rejected by the new job you're applying for? What if? We are terrified of those what ifs. And if they lead to us experiencing emotional pain. The real reason we're terrified of experiencing emotional pain is because we've tangled it up with our self-worth, our value as a human, as a whole person. Now it's tied into this. If I mess this up and I don't get that, X, Y, and Z, if I don't get that job, well, then I'm a loser. So maybe I'll stay here, where I'm so undervalued and unhappy, but I'm safe. I'll stay in the relationship that isn't working because it's better than being alone. I'll not finish the course, or maybe not even sign up for it, because I'll just keep looking at it online, but I'll never commit, because if I fail, then maybe everything that little voice inside my head is saying is true. Who do I think I am that I can go in a new direction and feel satisfied in life? So sabotage becomes an act of self-protection, an act of self-preservation. There's service in the sabotage, but we have to understand the subconscious language to connect those pieces together. Why? Because your brain believes that these things are a threat to you. Your nervous system responds to the threat by running, by quitting, by getting to safety, by playing smaller, exactly the same as if you were being chased by a tiger that was going to eat you for lunch in the jungle 100 years ago. Your nervous system does not differentiate that stress. It does not differentiate between those two things. If your brain signals danger, your body responds exactly the same to being chased by that tiger as it does to the fear of failing, the fear of rejection, the fear of blowing up your life, of losing control. All equate to a threat to your safety. So you've got to teach it that you are way more resilient than that. That failure doesn't mean what you've made it mean. That it's not personal. It's learning. It's evolution. It's expansion. But it's never about your value, your worth. Failure of anything simply means I have more to learn about this one area. Maybe I need to adjust my skills, learn a bit more. Maybe that's on the next iteration, on the horizon. I'm on my way to that. I'm here and learning more. I'm evolving into more. Maybe I need to learn maybe a little more emotional maturity or resilience. Maybe I need to learn more independence and self-love. We all have programming. We all have that little version of us that becomes terrified when we're wanting to make changes. But that's only a part of you. And you can teach that part of you that you're safe and expanding and growing, and you get to have all of the experiences, and you're going to be okay. That you can handle it now. That's the real crux of it. Your brain believes you won't be okay if you don't get whatever you want and don't have right now. So you freeze. Your brain gets fuzzy and your internal resources pull back from being able to think or regulate, and cortisol shoots up and adrenaline spikes up too, and now your body just wants to get to safety. This is the main purpose of sabotage, to get you to safety. But it comes at the price of mediocrity, of dissatisfaction. There's nothing wrong with getting to safety, nothing. But if it becomes a pattern where you're so unhappy but frozen, unable to believe that you can change your life, that's now feeling trapped, not safe. And I meet people all the time who feel trapped in their lives and are terrified of change because of what their brain is convinced is true. And it's all about the wiring in the brain. It's all subconscious programming that thinks it's protecting you. Hear it. It thinks it's protecting you. And that programming needs to be rewired. Your brain needs to be taught differently. And it learns through certain mechanisms. It learns through repetition. It learns through high emotion and desire. It learns through consistent belief. But I want you to think about it. Where are your beliefs most of the time? And just what are you letting in all day long that you're saying yes to? Yes, the world's a mess. Yes, it's not safe. Yes, we've got a problem here. Yes, that's awful there. Yes, 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 yes. Where are your yeses? And how are they training your brain that you're strong, that you're resilient, that you have resources, that you have this wonderful partnership and relationship with yourself, that you are always on the way to more experiences, and that you can handle those wobbles when they come, but that all the good things come too. Where are we saying yes to that all day long? Because most of us have all been preconditioned that we don't get to have what we want unless we're perfect, unless we're the best at it. And we've got all the evidence that other people were better, or we feel guilty, or we feel ashamed. I don't deserve it. So if you were, let's just do something here for a second. If you were to close your eyes right now and I said, think of a time in your childhood when you were told, be a good girl and do this for your mom or do this for your dad. Be a good girl. When you really wanted to do something else, but you were told no, and you knew you'd be in trouble if you didn't do what your parents told you to do, or of a time where they told you, you're just so much trouble. You're just too much. Can you just sit still and behave? I need you to stop doing that and do this for me. You were too much for them emotionally. Where does your mind take you? They just didn't have the bandwidth to hold your emotions, so you were never taught to investigate them, to bring them resources so that you learned emotional intelligence and resilience. Instead, you learned that what you wanted likely was bad, and you had to do what other people wanted you to do. And in exchange, you kind of made a trade. I'm safe. They won't be mad at me. I won't be punished, but I also won't be happy. I don't get to be happy in life, right? And so you learned what they wanted. You learned that what you wanted was bad and that you had to do what they wanted you to do. So that now, current day, translates to your boss, your partner, your friends, your family, everyone else. You can open your eyes if you close your eyes. You can open them again, come back into the room. You learn that everyone else might be upset if you do what you want. And that still equates to a threat in your nervous system because you knew that your parents were on their last nerve when they said those things to you, right? Anybody remember their parents saying, like, kiddo, you're getting on my last nerve right now? If you were sent to your room, like, that's it, I've had enough, go to your room, no more talking. Now, in my case, my dad had big temper, so if I got sent to my room, I was scared. I was in big trouble. Your nervous system isn't different today than it was when you were 5. It's the same nervous system reacting to the same stress and the same threat. We've just put a different face on the threat. It's what we've made the things we want mean if we fail. But the difference is we have way more resources now than you did when you were 5. But your brain doesn't know that and still responds to the threat of people being upset with you if you do something that you want to do. So I won't do it, but I'll be miserable. Did you know that statistics now are showing that only 30% of people are happy with their paychecks? 30%. So as the world continues to talk about tariffs and global trade wars and price increases and supply shortages, how do you think your nervous system is responding? Exactly, right? So the very first thing that you have to start to teach your brain is that you're safe and you're capable. No matter what comes, you're supported and you can handle it. It has to believe that because your brain is wired to always go out and find you the evidence of what your dominant beliefs are. It will always find you the evidence. So if you don't like what's showing up in front of you, you got to take a look at what your dominant beliefs are because that's the evidence. Which is why this is a softer, more investigative journey versus a control mechanism. If there's one thing collectively that we're all learning right now, is that control is just a coping mechanism. Like having the big beefy security guard, right? What is control guarding? Fear underneath. Control is always about trying to cope with a fear that you haven't learned how to regulate yet, but you can. What an amazing opportunity we all have right now to really learn how we're wired, how we work, and just how incredibly capable we are. It's worth looking into what happens when you start to think about what you want and the reasons you tell yourself that you can't have them. The service that sabotage is giving you by trying to get your attention, right? So the next time I feel absolute resistance to something, or I really want it, but I can't possibly allow myself to think that I can have that. I'm not good enough for that. I can't have that. I can't go do that. I can't go buy that. I can't apply for that. I can't start or launch that. Ask yourself, what am I protecting myself from? What am I protecting myself right now from? What am I afraid to feel? And you're going to run into that belief. And that's the belief that you need to start to reverse. Because what if it doesn't work out? Then you'll learn something from it. But what if I blow up my life? What if you don't? How many times, if you look back in hindsight, how many times Have you had that same feeling, but you're still here? What if I fail that exam? But you're still here. What if I flunk out of college? But you're still here. What if I lose that job? But you're still here. What if I don't do this right or do this right? You're still here. You found a way to figure it out. You are so much stronger than you believe you are. You are so much more capable and intelligent and resilient than you believe you are. But your beliefs are so unconscious because they've been there for so long. There's that little part of you that's kind of running the show. So you've got to meet it where the fear is and soothe the fear. We all have to face our fears in life, but I'm not a firm believer in fake it till you make it or push through it and prove that you can, because that can really just compound the trauma, really. I'm afraid of heights. Okay, let's go climb Mount Everest. That's not going to go well. But if I start looking at why? Because I might fall. Okay, when did I fall? Did it hurt? Okay, but did it heal? Yeah. How many times did I fall on my butt when I was a kid? More times than I can count. But then I really wanted a skateboard. Did I fall off my skateboard? Oh, more times than I can count. Skinned my knees pretty badly one time and a neighbor had to carry me home. But I'm still here. So what did I learn? Watch out for rocks. Be careful where you ride that skateboard or you're going to take a tumble. Okay. Did I get back on that skateboard? Yes. Fell off a horse, dislocated my knee. Did I get back on a horse? Yes. When? When I was ready. How did I know I was ready? Because I didn't like feeling like there was something I couldn't have. So we start to say to ourselves, what's underneath that? What am I telling myself? Where am I compromising in order to be safe? And do I want to still be safe? Or do I already know that I don't necessarily have to have that feeling 24/7 so that I can reach just a little further? I can try just a little bit more. I can go for something just a little further ahead, and I'll be okay if it doesn't work out. I'll be okay. I'll figure it out. That is a micro shift, but it changes everything. Because our brain starts to believe we're safe, we're capable, we have resources, and this has nothing to do with my self-worth. So if something doesn't work out, I'm going to learn something from that. I'm going to see what skills I need to maybe adjust. I'm going to learn things that I can understand and maybe accentuate, accelerate, investigate, contemplate. But it's not going to mean something's wrong with me. Think about if you kept that belief from the time you were little in school. I'll never be able to get this math. Never. And so as a coping mechanism, you just quit school and said, I'm never going to use math. How would that go right now? But you figured it out, right? You worked through it and you figured it out. And the first thing we want to do is we want to dismiss it. We want to say, yeah, but that doesn't matter now. But it does. It all matters, because what you teach your brain over and over and over again just becomes unconscious. And then how this works is you're going to project from that unconscious dominant belief, and you're going to bring in all the circumstances like a magnet. You're just going to draw them all to you. And as you draw them to you, if you're not tuned into yourself, you're going to say, why was this person behaving this way? Why did that not work out over here? And you're going to think you're not a partner in that. But without self-judgment and without it tangling up with your worth and your value, can you look at the circumstances in your life and say, why might this be here? And what am I telling myself about it? Because deep down, you know. You know. And I know that you know, because the innate intelligence that runs you knows. It's connected to everything. It knows all of your dreams. It knows everywhere you want to go. And it knows the extraordinary routes to get there so that you'll have maximum fun and adventure. Because your subconscious mind is always trying to move you towards pleasure and away from pain. So we have to redefine what pain means. We have to redefine that pain means learning, and that we can all handle a little bit of pain. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It doesn't mean I've lost all of my self-esteem and my identity. It doesn't mean that. It never meant that, but we were conditioned to believe that. it became that. We made it mean that, and we can unmake it mean that. So we have to redefine what pain means to us, and we have to define it in a way that says, I'm okay. I'm always going to learn. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for experience. I'm looking for adventure. I'm looking for evolution. I'm looking to add and add and add and add. So I'm here, and what I have is great, and I'm ready for more. What I have is great, and I'm ready for more. What I have is great, and I'm ready for more. There's more that I want, and I'm not afraid of a little bit of adjusting along the way. So now my brain's going to start to figure out how to make that a reality for me. It really is. It sounds simple. It's nuanced, it's layered, and it can be a little complicated figuring out that blueprint because it's so unconscious that you believe it's you. You don't believe it's something that you're telling yourself that you've accepted over time. You just believe it's you. And that's where the investigation needs to come in. Do I still want this to be true about me? Where did I even start to believe this? And do I still want to believe it? You get to make those choices. That's what personal power is. You get to make those choices. Those choices are not made for you for the rest of your life. So you have to pick up the responsibility of, when I redefine what pain means, and I don't have to feel safe all the time, that I know I'm going to be okay as I learn, then I'm going to take responsibility for me. And then nobody else. Nobody else. They can be the trigger point, but they are not the cause. And that's where things start to get a little wobbly because it's hard to take responsibility when it's tangled up with your worth. So on autopilot, we want to say, well, that didn't work out because they didn't want me. They didn't like me. They had a problem with this or that. They. So that my self-esteem stays intact. But if I can unravel that and say, this has nothing to do with my self-esteem. There's something in this for me. Let me investigate it. Let me see. What was I telling myself? What do I believe about this? What do I love? What's disappointing me? How do I work that through? Okay. Well, there's great wisdom in all of that. If you can go through that process and not have it tangled up with your self-esteem, then you now are responsible for yourself. And you're a beautiful co-creative partner with your own expansion and evolution. And now you're basically saying, I can handle it all. Send me more. I'm gonna have all the good stuff, and I'm gonna work through the rougher stuff. Because whether we like it or not, having a whole experience here is going to involve all of that anyway. Tell me one person you know that never had anything bad, that never experienced emotional pain, that never felt sad, that never needed a good cry once in a while, that never just felt like they got bullied or felt like they were left out or rejected. Show me one person on this planet. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But when that happened, it hurt. And our subconscious mind kept it, prioritized it. And now it weighs everything against it. So we have to change what that means. Otherwise, it's never going to let you go after what you want, and you'll continue to tell yourself all kinds of reasons that you want to be true, but really what you're doing is just self-protecting your self-esteem. It's self-preservation. But the exchange for that is kind of, mediocre. Dissatisfaction. So decide. Decide today that the world doesn't get to tell you who you are and what you can do, because that's kind of where we've gone. The world has decided what we believe is true and available to us. But is that true for you still? Or are you ready to decide it for yourself? That's the contemplation work. So as always, I really enjoy these monthly conversations with you. Thank you for watching, for inviting me into your world for a few moments and sharing this time and contemplation with me. If I can ever help you in any way, please reach out to me via the contact page on my website, megadamsonhypnotherapy.com. I do private one-to-one work that's customized specifically for you, blueprinting you. And there's usually about a 2 to 3 month wait list to work with me. And I also offer group trainings where we dive deeply into context like this, but at a much deeper level, along with group hypnosis and anchoring. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you. And I'll see you next month. Bye for now.